how I went from getting eliminated at almost every event at the starter level to becoming this year's Area 2 Junior Starter Champion and moving up to beginner novice. Although I have worked very hard to become a better rider, I truly believe I would not be where I am today without improving my confidence. Let's get into the video. Let's start from the beginning. I learned how to jump on a pony named Halo. She was super sweet but didn't know the most about jumping, so we learned together. At this point in my riding, my confidence was neither high nor low. When I started to show, I was very nervous about doing things wrong or just not knowing what I was doing. It didn't help that along with me having my first show, Halo was also having her first off-site experience. She definitely was difficult for me, but I don't remember our failures ever directly correlating to a decrease in my confidence. After I had a few shows under my belt, showing actually began to increase my confidence as I was able to get her around full courses without problem. Overall, my first season taught me so much and ended up improving my confidence by a lot for seasons to come. Next in my journey, I moved on to a new horse. I moved on to a Honey named Romeo. He was a great move-up horse for me and was bringing me around some larger jumps. Things were going so well that at an at-home show, we even did the 2-6. Things with Romeo at this point seemed to be going pretty good. Confidence was high, but was soon to drop. Here is when we get to the point where everything started going wrong. During this round, I knocked a pole and became so anxious that my mind went blank and I completely forgot my next jump. When I came out of the ring, I was completely shocked to hear I was eliminated since I literally could not remember what happened after we knocked the rail. They then let us go on cross country since our round was not unsafe and we had just forgotten a fence. I remember I had a great warm-up, but as soon as I hit the course, my anxiety took control and I fell off at the first fence. My next show actually wasn't too bad. However, during cross country, I had a confidence knock when Romeo slipped a bit and I almost fell off. So one show being eliminated doesn't necessarily cause a confidence problem, but in my case it became a pattern at this show when I fell off during show jump. They very kindly let me drop down a level to intro and still do cross country so that I could school. For my last show of the season, we decided to drop down to intro. The show went pretty well and I did end up placing third. However, I didn't feel very proud of me ending the season at intro and not starter. Now onto the next season where my sole goal was to gain my confidence back. My first show of the season was a combined trial. The combined trial went pretty well. I placed second. However, I wasn't proud of how my jump round went since I got a lot of chips. However, I did make it through without falling off, so that was a plus. At our next show, we had an unfortunate rail. However, I was proud that I did not let this rail affect my confidence for the rest of the round. On cross country, sadly, we started to have problems and Romeo reared and I started to have anxiety and I blanked out a bit and accidentally went over the inter jump instead of the starter jump, as their only difference was a ground pull on the top of one of the jumps, and therefore I got eliminated. Our next show was actually our best show in a long time. We ended up placing third, and this was only because we had a small mistake in our test. We went clear on show jumping, and we also went clear on cross country. I was so proud of this show. Our next show proved to me that my confidence wasn't fully repaired because we had 2 refusals and a pull during show jumping. I do think that my confidence had improved though because I went clear on cross country. This was my last show on Romeo before I moved on to the next section of my confidence journey. Me and Romeo's journey can be an example on how riding can be a very mentally challenging sport. I also think this should prove that you shouldn't judge people for riding badly or what you think is bad because you don't know their journey or what it's like to be them. We started off the season doing a hunt pace. It was me and Sheldon's first outing together, and I was very nervous. I was having a hard time relaxing, and Sheldon was showing that through being tense and spooking and throwing his head around a little bit more. It was especially hard for me to deal with his new forwardness since Romeo was lazy. Our next show was a hunter jumper show. Me and Sheldon struggled a bit in the flat because just like the hunt pace, I was struggling to relax and therefore he appeared a lot more tense and was more difficult to manage. Because of this, we did not place well in the normal flats, although we did end up placing well in the hunter hack, and we also then ended up placing first in the 2-3 thoroughbred jump round. I was super proud of this because it was our best jump round we had done all day. Then on to me and Sheldon's first event of the season. We had one unfortunate rail because I let him get too long and strung out. However, we went clear in cross country, so I was still proud of this show. Then at the next show, which was a jumper show, me and Sheldon tried out the 2-7. I was really anxious and nervous, and I ended up pinching with my knees and being really tight. This caused him to go way too fast, and I was struggling to get him to slow down. We didn't do very well in this, and we decided that I needed to work on calming my nerves before we tried the 2-7 again. We were back at the hunters again, and me and Sheldon did pretty good this time, although I don't remember us receiving any spectacular placings. Next, me and Sheldon went to a jumper show at the barn where Romeo is kept, and it went really well. This show was a huge confidence builder for me, even though I had one rail at the very end of the show. The next show was also a jumper show. This show I struggled a lot with my equitation, and it made me feel like I couldn't ride very well even though I had been improving so much this season. Our next show was an event. At this event, I feel like I gained a lot of confidence because our jump round went super well and so did cross country. Then we went back to the hunter ring again. I believe the show went pretty good for us, although there wasn't any major highlights. Flat was still a bit difficult with me being too tense, but there was great improvement. Our next show was an event. I remember that show jumping was neither really good or really bad, but the highlight of this show was cross country, where I felt like I gained a lot of confidence on this technical course. There were a lot of sharper turns on the part of the course that we couldn't get on video. Our next event was a big confidence builder, since in show jumping we went clear even though the jumps looked a little bit bigger than 2-3, which I was used to. We even attempted a ditch, which I was super nervous about as well. After we did our starter cross country, we did beginner novice schooling, which again was a confidence builder since it was a little bit bigger than what I had previously been used to, but we made it through everything just fine, and it was super fun. Our next event was my first ever rated event. I was super nervous, but I completed everything and I went clear. Our next event went pretty well, however I did have a few moments in show jumping where I held him too much to the fences or I wasn't counting, so we got a few chips or some odd spots. Our next show was back at the Hunters, where me and Sheldon retried the 2-6. Here we were trying to get a counter canter after a halt because we had an equitation class in which we had to do that, as you can see here. It was a bit difficult for us since Sheldon didn't exactly know why we were halting in the middle of a round. The 2-6 went pretty good this time, however me and Sheldon did have a little bit of a need for speed. The height didn't really contribute to that, it was just that we've always had this problem in the Hunters. Me and Sheldon's next show was the Area 2 Championships. I can't lie, I was pretty nervous after learning that I was first, and whenever I got to show jumping, I was so nervous that me and Sheldon had two pretty terrible fences, so I won't lie when saying that I almost didn't think that I deserved the first place because of how bad that I thought the round went. Our next show was a jumper show where me and Sheldon got to wear a little Cinderella costume. I think I let the clock get a little bit to me because I couldn't figure out how to get under the time in this course where you couldn't really make any sharper turns to make up for the time, so me and Sean had one pole in a few sketchy spots. For me and Sheldon's last event of the season, we moved up to beginner novice. I was so proud of this because I had been wanting to move up for so many years and we finally did it. I went clear on show jump and cross country, however I did have a small error in my test, so we got 3rd place. This season on Sheldon was a huge success in my opinion. This is because I gained enough confidence to jump 2.627 at shows without being a nervous wreck. I would also like to remind everyone that not just gaining confidence will improve your riding. Throughout the season, I did many things to improve my riding other than just gaining confidence. The first thing was I went to a horse camp where I got to ride this amazing horse named Cafe. We jumped twice a week and flatted 3 times a week, and I got a lot more practice with my equitation and working on my lower leg. I did struggle a lot with him because he was very strong and he was a jumper type unlike Sheldon. I actually think Cafe's forwardness was very good practice for when I did cross country with Sheldon, since Sheldon is very strong on cross country. During camp, we also got to ride a few different horses. I got to jump this amazing little halflinger pony named Honey. Another way I improved was taking the opportunity to ride other horses. The paint here's name is Traveler. He's super fun to ride and he's a quirky little jumper. He taught me a lot about releasing before my fences and not over-exaggerating my jump position. I also got to ride Charlie, who's a thoroughbred just like Sheldon. He was super fun to ride and he taught me a lot about pushing a horse into the contact rather than being too handsy. Me and Sheldon had been cross-country schooling at home many times before this season, but going to other places was very important to me because I needed to practice my up banks, down banks, and ditches because I had not previously had too much practice with those. I also had 2 dressage clinics this season, which I thought were very important for improving my skills, since if you're an eventer, you know dressage is the base of your score. So next we had a jump clinic where we might need to talk about the fact that I kept messing up. Like, bro, I messed up so bad twice and I don't even know why. But after that, me and Sean had a great ride and we had 2 really great choruses at the end. I am really looking forward to next season to see how much more improvement I will have. I hope that my riding story can be an example to anyone who is struggling with their confidence, that it will get better, and that with hard work, you can overcome your fears. I also want to let people know that if anyone is struggling in their riding, you don't always know why this might be. For example, without hearing my story, I think that many people might think I was just a bad rider who lacked experience. Lastly, I just wanted to touch on some goals. I really want to go to Dressage IEA Nationals, and I also really want to go to AECs at the beginner novice level. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing.